Exactly 7 months ago, I released the last update for the SmoredBoard and teased what I'd be adding in the next update. And basically every day since then, I've been working towards this update. So today, I'm going to be going over everything I've added, what's changed, and what's coming next. Now, the big new thing in this update is voice changers, but I want to set expectations right for this. These aren't extremely realistic AI voice changers or anything. These are DSP effects, which means all these do is take in your audio, do some math on it, making it have some cool effects like reverb or pitch shift it or something. Then we stack a bunch of those, making a voice changer. So using that, it can only be so convincing, which is why most of these effects are fun stuff, like Now, this doesn't mean we can't make some cool voice changers. I think a lot of these are great. It just means there's only so much we can do realistically. On release, we'll have 59 built-in voice changers, but you can see all of them here, and I'm hoping to add more in the future, which is where custom voice changers come in. Using a custom voice changer, you can add as many effects as you want, creating your own unique voice changer. You can stack up to 72 effects onto your mic at once, which means there are this many possible effect combinations. In practice, most of these will sound awful, but it's still pretty cool that you can do so many. There are only 2 new features in this entire update that are pro only, and one of the 2 is stacking of voice effects. So, if you're a free user and you've used the SmoredBoard before, this is the exact same limit you have with adding effects to your sounds. And for pro users, stack as many as you want and try to make some really cool sounding voice changers. I'm hoping to expand the number of built-in voice changers we have, so if you make a voice changer that you think is cool and should be added, let me know at the email on screen and maybe I'll add it to the built-ins in the next update. The other big change in this update is the UI changes. Starting with the sound buttons, they now have this border and time on it, which if you do not like, you can just turn them off. And you can also change the button size now. I'm using a ginormous button size, so it looks good in the recording, but you can set it to whatever you want. If you want it to be smaller so you can see a lot more at once, or you want it to be absolutely huge for some reason. Also, you might have noticed the sidebar has now been updated, so it's centered, which is a very little change, but I think it makes it look a lot better. Now the context menu, which is the menu that opens when you right-click stuff now, it looks way better. And I've added a lot more options to most of the context menus throughout the SmoredBoard. The settings page also looks way different now. Everything's been kind of moved around a little bit, which I'll go over this keybind stuff later. There's a lot of changes on this page if you remember what the old one looks like. So now if you want to customize the sensor button, for example, you can just toggle it down and change the volume of it. Another change, which you already saw a little bit of, is the effects lab now looks way better, I think, with the effects library over here on the side, so you can just click on effects to add them. And you can also click on ones you've already added in here to scroll to it in this viewer page thing. To make assigning and managing images easier, you can now right-click any sound button, voice changer, or profile. You can click on the Change Image button, and this will open the image selector page. And here you can easily change the image to any of our built-in images, which there are unique ones for the voice changers and profiles and sound buttons here, as well as any of your images you already have added. And another cool thing on this page, if you don't have an image in here you want to use, you can click Add Image from Web, and it'll automatically open Google Images with the name of the sound in here, so you can easily just click on it and click Add to the sound, which is nice. And also, you won't even need to add images to sounds as much anymore, because when you add an audio file to the SmoredBoard, it will automatically assign a default image to it, so you won't have a bunch of gray squares all over the place, which I saw a bunch of people had. The SmoredBoard now also has a toggle to talk, push to talk, and a cough button. So you can go to the Keybinds page here, go to the Global Keybinds tab, and I already have toggle to talk actually binded. So when I press that button on my keyboard, you'll see it'll mute my mic down here, and it'll also play that little sound letting me know. That way, in case I fat finger it, I'll hear that I accidentally muted or unmuted my mic. And it's actually a great transition to our Stream Deck plugin, which has a new button for it. So let's go here, toggle talk. I can press it, it'll do the exact same thing as having the keybind. And there's also other new buttons for things like voice changers and toggling effects and stuff like that. Alright, now moving on to the Keybinds page and settings. This page has changed a lot. First of all, every single setting that is keybind related has been moved into here, as well as I've added a lot more global keybinds for more stuff. And there's this new profile keybind section, which allows you to select a profile. You can see every single sound and all the keybinds for all of them. And you can also click on one and change it if you want to as well. If you're a heavy keybind user, this will be really helpful, because if you use like global keybind profiles, for example, they get a little bit confusing. So this makes it a little bit easier to understand, as well as your voice changer keybinds, because voice changer keybinds are independent of soundboard profiles and global keybind profiles. So this just makes it easier to manage all of your keybinds. The second pro-only new feature in this update is exporting sounds. So this Kahoot sound here, I have an effect added to it, doubler and playback speed. It doesn't really sound good, but it works for this example. So if I want to export the sound so I can have the audio file so I can use it in Premiere or whatever else I want to use it to, I can just click export sound. I'll put it to maximum quality, because why not? And then you'll be able to choose which options you want. I want it to export everything. Now I can open it in Windows, and it'll have all of those effects and edits and volume adjustments on it. Also, I've put a lot of work into the audio engine, so stuff in like the background I'm not going to go over, but overall it should be a little bit more stable. And there's also some new mic settings like sample rate, you can change that. There's also this new force mono mic option and per mic profiles, which you see here by per mic settings. If, let's say for example, this mic doesn't work at 50 milliseconds latency, I have to up it to 75 milliseconds. I can turn it off the default mic settings so I don't change everything. I can go to 75. Now click apply. Now my mic will be at 75 milliseconds latency, and I can change it to something else. Let's say I go to this mic here, and it'll load default settings at 50 milliseconds again. Then I can go back to that mic, and it'll change it back to 75 milliseconds. Also, other little things, fade out, stop all sounds. If you right click the stop all sound buttons, click fade out, and then let's put a 1 second timer on it. If I play this song here, click stop all sounds, it'll fade out, which is really cool. Another feature that free users especially are going to love is, let's load this profile here. If I then drag and drop a .smored file or SmoredBoard profile into it, it'll give me two options. Either let me import it as a new profile, which is what it did before, or import it into an existing profile. So let's pick this option and then select the profile I'm on, which is this one here. We'll then import all the sounds into this profile. This is great for free users, that way you don't have to have a bunch of locked profiles. You can just have one unlocked profile with all the sounds, or you can still have some locked profiles if you want to keep things a little bit separated. Speaking of profiles, you can also use your mouse to scroll in this top bar, which wasn't a feature before, which I'm sure probably annoyed quite a lot of you. I don't know why that wasn't a thing. And then also another thing is the profile recovery tool. So let's say, for example, these changes I made corrupted the profile. It didn't, obviously, because it's still working, but let's say it did, and I wanted to revert to before adding all these sounds. I can now open up settings, go to recover profiles, wait for it to scan it all. It takes a little bit of time to go through all your backups, and then just scroll into the profile I want to back up, which is this one here. Click next, and then you can see all the backups that the SmoredBoard has. So let's go to the one before I added sounds. Click recover selected. I'll recover it, and then it'll go back to the version before all those sounds. There's also been lots of other little changes I haven't been able to mention, and also probably some I've forgotten. So once the update releases, if you want to see absolutely everything that's changed that I didn't forget, you can check out the changelog, which will be in the description. So on to what's coming next. In the next big update, I'm hoping to add a YouTube/Twitch chat tool, so your chat will be able to play sounds, stop sounds, do whatever they want, and then some sort of automation system. So let's say when the sound finishes, I wanted it to unmute my mic or mute my mic, I could have it do that, or start a different sound, which could then mute my mic when that finishes, or I don't know how far I'm going to go with that, but that's going to be a cool thing I'm going to add. Also, for you programmers, I'm going to add documentation for the WebSocket API, which would allow you to integrate the SmoredBoard into literally anything you can make. And finally, which this would not be coming in the next big update, this is just stuff that would happen over time as I continue to update the SmoredBoard, and that is just more effects so we can make more voice changers, as well as potentially some AI voice changers. I don't know exactly how this will go. There are a lot of challenges with adding those type of voice changers, from a technical standpoint and ethically, but the end goal would be to add some sort of voice changer that could be a lot more realistic than the effects we have now. So I'm super excited for this. This has been a ton of work to get this update ready, and I am very happy with it, but I'm sure it's not perfect and there'll be some issues, which if you have any, you can either email the email on screen the issues you have, check out the help center, I might have documentation for it already, or there's also be a new bug report page on the new website, so you can go and report it there if you don't want to go through emailing and stuff. So I hope you're excited for the next update. I know I am. I don't know exactly when it'll be releasing after this video, but it'll be releasing soon. I mean, this is basically done.